And good morning. Welcome. Well, is it still morning? I don't know. I'm not usually here at this time, but it is Focus on Stafford County. And we kind of got something going on here today where Carolyn Dunn is out on assignment. So she's phoning in today, but we do have Ashley Bevan in with us. And also, I know her name, but I can't remember it right now. Hold on, wait. Hannah Ward. I got it. Okay, I haven't had the opportunity to meet her yet, but I will in just a moment here. Let's bring Carolyn in and make sure she's on the program. Carolyn, are you with us?
I am.
Very good. Everybody can hear well?
Yes.
Hey, perfect. All right, live radio. That's what it is. Okay, so talking today about multiple different things, different topics that we have here. And Carolyn, I'm just going to go ahead and let you start out with some of the things you wanted to talk about this morning.
Well, one of the things I was going to talk about is the upcoming joint meeting between the City of St. John and the County of Stafford on March 9th at 7 p.m. in the basement of the Ida Long Goodman Library. This kind of came about as we were putting together a housing grant application and working with the City of St. John to support that application. And essentially they said, we're glad to support you on this housing application, but are there also some other opportunities for us to work on economic development goals and maybe some industrial development? And that's, that's great. And I kind of said, we're trying to initiate some things in that area with the County of Stafford, and it kind of led to some back and forth discussion. At one point I felt like, this would be better if the two groups could be in the same room instead of kind of playing translator between the two groups, and they agreed to do that. And I think this is a great opportunity to really try to share information, explore opportunities between the county and the city on ways that we can either work collaboratively on economic development goals. There may be some areas that they can work really together on. And maybe it makes sense in some areas that, the county takes the lead in this area and the city takes the lead in another area. But we're working strategically to accomplish those economic growth goals. Some of what we're going to be doing in our office is trying to really give some good data to inform that meeting. I think there are things that we don't always necessarily have put in front of us that are, though, good pieces of information to have as the information to inform this kind of stuff. One of the things that kind of comes to mind for me is we were putting together our most recent housing grant application. One of the questions had to do with the vacancy rates in your county or your city that you're applying for. And at first glance, we didn't look like we would compete very well with that. Our vacancy rate was relatively high compared to the state. We have vacant houses. But if you looked into that, you delved into that a little more, 13% of the inventory in our county is either in uninhabitable or in poor condition, as rated by the county appraiser's office. So we have a high vacancy rate because we got a lot of houses that are not suitable to live in. And I think that's the kind of data, an example just in the area of housing, that if we don't kind of deliberately put that together and consider that, it's easy to make assumptions without having deliberately looked at some data. So Hannah is working with us on that, looking at things like tax rates, utility rates, demographic data, and trying to help put that into perspective for our policymakers about how we kind of compare to other areas around the region or the state, and then what we may need to focus on most to make ourselves either competitive or to present ourselves well for the kinds of activities we may recruit to our area.
Okay, so Hannah, that survey and that data that you're compiling, you guys have recently put out that survey, and of course I saw that on my Facebook to take the survey, and so talk a little bit about it and what the questions may be and kind of what you're looking for with that.
So the questions on the survey are just basic questions like what's your zip code? We're trying to get this to focus on Stafford County, so obviously.
She said the title of the program in the program. I always have to note that. That's good.
Okay.
Okay. I'll let you go.
Okay. So we're trying to focus on Stafford County. So obviously people outside of Stafford County can take the survey, but our goal is to get those answers from the people inside of Stafford County. The second question is, when you think about the future of Stafford County, what concerns you the most? And some of the options are like lack of business, affordability and availability of childcare, lack of good quality homes for sale, infrastructure, city code enforcement, population decline in tax base, lack of support of local businesses, public health and health care, just basic things like that that people would be concerned about. And then we ask how your top 3 concerns impact your life. So why you chose what you're most concerned about and I guess how it impacts you.
And so with that survey on that second question of those different topics, we have them kind of slide into priorities, what they're most concerned about. And so it's kind of handy, actually. We used SurveyMonkey to put this together. You as an individual can prioritize what your concerns are.
Fantastic. So, as a Stafford County and myself, I would say the biggest things for me, business, housing, and healthcare. I'm thinking about, my doctor's probably going to be retiring here soon. And I'm going, oh, okay. And then getting married, thinking about housing, going, what am I going to do there? And, those conveniences that I like. We've got the grocery store and Dollar General and those things. But, so it's thinking of all those different things. And so, of course, hoping to certainly accomplish something with this joint meeting with the city and the county. So what do some of those potential things that you're looking to accomplish? What are some of those things possibly?
Meaning looking to accomplish? Well, with the survey, or
yes,
with the survey, I think to a certain extent we need to look at the data that is not kind of public opinion oriented. So, for example, we might say we'd like to recruit a business that employs people of a certain profile. But if our demographics don't suggest that we have that labor force available, or the labor force that we have available doesn't have the right educational status, we'd probably be, we're not going to be as likely to be successful in that endeavor as we might be something else that fits more our demographics. So that would be more what I see as kind of the neutral data, I guess, if that's a good way to describe it. It's just kind of the more matter-of-fact kind of data. How do our utility rates compare? If a business relies heavily on electric usage, we may not be as successful in recruiting them in our cities that have higher electric rates than we would, than if we realize that how that compares to a different jurisdiction nearby. That might be one of those examples. But then there's also the element of what does our population want? What are they willing to support our policymakers in prioritizing? So maybe, if housing is the thing that people respond to the most, well, we know that that's something we need to put some more resources into. Maybe that is something that the cities are more suited, more positioned to act on, and less so the county. That maybe that division of labor, kind of the divide and conquer thing. I guess we're looking to have more guidance from the public in what they support us working on. And then your question, I guess, is what are we trying to accomplish? Well, ultimately, I hope we are able to delve into some more significant projects or activities that really start to, make a measurable difference in our tax base, our population. To me, those are two fundamental measures of whether we're achieving economic growth or not.
Wow. Yeah. So really just opening that the line of communication between the governing bodies and getting that public input as well, and seeing what do we want? What can we do with the information that we have, and how can it best be effective? And so,
right.
Very good. All right. I like it. It sounds good. And I'm
excited. I think, it's a really positive thing. Again, the day that we talked to the city council first about this, they were the ones that initiated the idea of, can we do more? And what economic development director doesn't like to hear that message?
Yeah.
That's great.
That's fantastic. So I guess then with the county, what are their thoughts in this?
Well, I think I felt like we've always had a good working relationship with the county. We have been looking at the idea of an industrial port now for quite some time. But here's my take on it. I feel like we have probably been more hopeful that a business would take an initial first step along with us. And that was probably wishful thinking. We're probably going to have to be a little more proactive in designing what scenario works. So we have done a feasibility study as far as grain loading facilities, and I may have told this story before. We've had multiple companies look at Stafford County as a strong possibility to locate that type of business here, but we've never been the strongest investment of options they have in other places. We're kind of, I say, the bridesmaid and not the bride. So I think we're going to need to look at what we can do locally to help set that stage more. Can we share some investment, and can that shared investment be used for multiple businesses? So if we have a road or a rail infrastructure, can we not only use that to secure, an initial grain business is a logical anchor for that, because that's what we have to a large degree in this part of the state. We grow grain. It's what we have in volume. But can we also use it to recruit other types of businesses? I sometimes put it this way. We have this great mainline railroad through Stafford County, but there's no entrance ramp onto that railroad to give other businesses the opportunity to use that type of infrastructure. So that's what we've been talking about for a while. We have one element of feasibility analysis in our hands, and the county has just in this past week agreed to doing a preliminary engineering analysis. What it will do is give us some definition to, looking at 2 or 3 different sites, what would be the pros and cons of each one, a broad expectation of what the cost would be. And it'll kind of give us some basis then to start doing some projections of, okay, if we invest in this, can we recoup the cost from the business activity that it brings along, and, gives us a basis to be able to write some grant applications to help us offset costs. Ultimately, it's really kind of following the model of what we did with the grocery store. It was, having some analysis of what it's going to take to make this work, applying for grant application to offset the cost. The public has some shared investment in that, but we were able to structure it in a way that did not raise taxes to local taxpayers, and along the way brought a business that otherwise wouldn't have located here.
Okay, so the other thing I see on the list is something that I see every day driving down Main Street, is the mural site. Let's talk about what's going on here.
Well, that's a fun project. That was initiated by a local citizen who wanted to contribute funds to making a mural, but it also opened up an opportunity to apply for grant funding that's essentially doubling what his contribution will be, such that we can not only do a mural, but landscaping in that lot. And so some of the prep work has already occurred. We had a meeting this week with what is a 9-member local steering committee, and I sometimes smile when I look around the room in that group, because it ranges from high school students, one of which just moved here a year or 2 ago, but some kids that are particularly interested in the arts are involved in this. But on the other end of the spectrum, we have a senior citizen that is a direct descendant of the original settlers of St. John. So it's just fun to hear the different ideas and the way that they do have different ideas, but it's coming together into a plan that I think everybody is excited about. So the mural will fundamentally tell the story of that unique settling of St. John by a group of pioneers that really saw this as a utopian community. Many people have heard that idea that, those settlers said a blessing for St. John that no tornado would destroy the town. And, here we are 150 plus years later, and no tornado has ever come through St. John. And some of that lore will be told in that mural.
Very cool. I'm excited.
So we should see work beginning on that in the month of March, and all of that is intended to be the mural for sure, and the landscaping hopefully substantially done by the time Jubilee comes around.
Awesome. Very cool. Okay, so, Ashley, I see you on the list here. Workspace 311. What's going on?
So we've had almost 40 people take our initial assessment online since we had our grand opening in August. Most recently, with our FlexJobs partnership that we have, I get a Hot Jobs weekly list sent to me on Mondays. And this just highlights about 10 jobs that are somewhat new to the online platform. And then in addition to that, we received notification that Wayfair is hiring specifically in Kansas. And so we posted this on our Facebook page and wanted to highlight that Wayfair is hiring for virtual workers in Kansas specifically. So when you open this job description on FlexJobs, it's 100% remote work. It's full-time, and it pays $14 an hour. So you'll be taking some inbound calls for customers that have purchased items from Wayfair, and maybe they have issues with the item, like maybe it was damaged when you received the shipment, or maybe it's not what you were expecting and you want to return it. So you can call Wayfair's customer service, and this position, you would be taking those phone calls and fielding them of how they return their item, etc. That's just an example. So what you'll need, so you have to live in Kansas, strong problem-solving skills and the ability to think analytically, excellent communication, passion for helping others, and then the ability to maintain the required internet speed, a workspace that's free from noise or distraction. So we all know that we struggle with high-speed internet in our area. I, for example, personally cannot even get internet service at my house in rural Kansas. So I, for one, would need to utilize a workspace like Workspace 311 in St. John. Wayfair does provide your equipment for this position. So what we would recommend if you're interested in this position is that you come in and look at some of our private office space that we have in the back of the workspace. All three of our offices are different sizes and different rent each month, but those would be sufficient for a job like this since Wayfair does provide your equipment, and then you can shut the door and have your own noise-free workspace. So that's kind of just an overview of that position that Wayfair has to offer. It's just interesting. FlexJobs has been a great partner to work with. They vet like thousands of online job postings. I sometimes describe to people when they come in, do you have a Facebook account? And when you're scrolling through buy, sell, trade, or just your homepage, how many times do you see these like make $400 a week? Sign up now. You don't know what's a scam and what's legitimate. So I'm thankful that Carolyn found this FlexJobs platform and that we've developed a partnership with them.
That's fantastic. And
I think sometimes what people are hesitant about, even with knowing that we've got a program that vets legitimate jobs, they're still unsure of, well, what would that exactly be? And I thought it was nice that FlexJobs was able to highlight to us one opportunity that is, specifically available to Kansans so that people can more readily understand what a flex job might look like.
And I want to clarify, like I said, we've posted on our Facebook page that this job opportunity is available. And I want to clarify that economic development itself is not hiring people to fill these remote jobs. We are promoting a program to prepare you for remote work, but ultimately a corporate company or something smaller will be hiring you. It's not economic development.
Right. You guys are providing the mode of transportation
Correct.
to get to that point where you'll be hired
Right,
and work
because-
for that company and maybe be utilizing Workspace 311.
Right, because a lot of these companies do require you to have high-speed fiber optic internet that's hardwired, not even wireless connection. You have to be hardwired.
Wow.
And so we are providing that space at a very minimal cost for you to work out of if you can't meet those requirements from your home.
Fantastic. And what a phenomenal facility it is to have right there in the heart of Stafford County. I mean, it's up to date, brand new, everything in there, and having that hardwired internet and what a great space to utilize with these jobs, because you go, work from home. Wouldn't that be great for everyone? I wish I could work from home, and I actually probably could. I was talking to the boss about an Eagle St. John division.
There you go.
And we could put it down in Workspace 311. And then
we wouldn't have to drive all the way up to Great Bend for our monthly radio program.
Well, you wouldn't get to see Steve Webster anymore, but I don't know if you guys would be okay with that or not. But anyway, Hannah, how you liking St. John?
It's good.
I know you've been there before, but
Yeah.
with this position, everything's going good?
Yeah.
Good. All right, that's what I like to hear. That's going to do it. This show always goes so fast. Normally, I'm listening in my office right now, but of course, ladies, thank you so much for being here. Carolyn, thank you for being on the show and phoning in. We appreciate it very much. Ashley Bevan, Hannah Ward with us on Focus on Stafford County. Of course, you're going to have the program uploaded if people want to listen in again.
I will.
And check them out on Facebook, too. Thank you guys so much for coming in today. You're listening to 1590 KVGV and 95.5 FM Great Bend.